Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. A smashed Sloan ruins the family supper. Sloan apprehensively tasted wine as she put everything out on the table in her condo. Slow down. Eric stated, "It's just my parents coming over for a casual dinner." Sloan rebutted, "Everything has to be perfect." John and Marlena showed up sooner than expected, and Sloan swallowed down her glass of wine as Eric opened the front entryway. Sloan drank another glass of wine as his grandparents praised their new grandson. "He is lovely," Marlena reported. Sloan proposed to set out a glass of wine, however John and Marlena requested club soft drinks, all things considered. Eric withdrew to the kitchen to get tidbits and beverages. "I'm super that the both of you could make it this evening to supper." "Well, Eric and I have been standing by so lengthy to have the both of you," Sloan said. Marlena stated, "We are so pleased to be here." John remarked that the loft looked decent. Sloan made sense of that they were blissful in their little condo until they could track down a greater spot. Eric came back carrying a tray as Sloan, John, and Marlena stood in awkward silence. Sloan poured one more glass of wine. Eric got some information about their New Year's Eve while Sloan tasted her beverage. Except for the bad news about Tate and Holly, everything had been fine, Marlena noted. "Damn misfortune," John said. "I don't have any idea how Nicole will deal with this," Marlena added. Sloan concurred. "In any case, that won't occur to us, since we will successfully safeguard our child. From drugs, individuals, simply all that sort of terrible stuff," Sloan said. Eric concurred, however Sloan proceeded. "We would take the necessary steps. Indeed, even falsehood," Sloan added. Eric investigated at his folks, and they traded a look as Sloan took one more swallow of wine. Marlena asked Sloan what she implied. "I simply mean, better believe it, similar to I could lie to safeguard him, you know? Dislike an untruth lie." "I'm not for lies," Sloan said. Eric urged Sloan to eat some food. With a slight slur to her words, Sloan said she was not ravenous. Sloan asked Marlena if they could discuss becoming mothers for the first time. With a laugh, Sloan noticed that Marlena had twins without skipping a beat. Marlena grinned unfortunately. "Not without skipping a beat." Marlena stated, "I had a son named DJ. He died of SIDS." Sloan was shocked, and she was sorry. "I didn't have a clue about that," Sloan murmured. Humiliated, Sloan chastised Eric for letting her put her foot in it. Marlena guaranteed Sloan that it was fine. Sloan apologized for having offered something uncouth. "Particularly to you, since you're similar to, great, you know?" Sloan said, "Like, you say everything right, unlike me." Eric proposed that they plunk down to supper. "I'm famished," John said happily. Sloan took another sip of wine as Eric sat his parents at the table. "Wait! Before we get to supper, I believe that you ought to educate your people concerning the enormous news," Sloan said. Eric asked Sloan what she meant, perplexed. Sloan referenced Eric's photos. "Oh! You mean about me setting up my photography business once more?" Eric said. Sloan gestured yes. Thrilled, Marlena let Eric know that she was happy he had gotten back to his photography. Eric made sense of that he planned to set up his business over the course of the following couple of weeks. Sloan hindered to say that she had a joke. For what reason did the photograph pundit wed the picture taker? Sloan inquired. John shrugged and inquired as to why. Because she cherished his drumming. God help us, it wasn't percussion. Hang on. It was on the grounds that she cherished his viewpoint, Sloan said with a laugh. John and Marlena grinned great-naturedly. "I didn't realize satire was with supper," Eric kidded. Sloan noticed that satire was the flavor of life, and she made another quip. John, Marlena, and Eric grinned thankfully. "Regardless, I found those jokes to be hilarious." Yet, I can see that Dr. Marlena Evans around there doesn't think that they are amusing, Sloan said. All right, no more wine for you, Eric said as he took Sloan's glass. Sloan called Marlena intimidating with a drunken slur as she reiterated her request to speak with her. I don't consider myself scaring particularly, yet I truly do think Eric is correct. I think perhaps you ought to rest, Marlena said. Sloan declined. Sloan added, and I think that you should laugh at my jokes when you are in my house, Marlena Evans. Sloan was warned by Eric to be nice. With a grin, Sloan let Eric know that she was being interesting. Sloan got her wine once more, and she noticed that still up in the air to make Marlena chuckle. At the point when Sloan inclined forward, she thumped over a glass of water. That is sufficient, Eric said. Try not to holler at me, Sloan countered. While Marlena's mouth gaped, John winced and glanced down at the table. Eric directed Sloan across the room, and he told her that she was presently not interesting or engaging. Sloan waved pretentiously at Eric, however he requested her to rest. Also, miss the supper? Sloan inquired. Eric said okay. Sloan grinned and said that she had been cooking all day. I maintained that everything should be great. I can't miss the supper, Sloan said as she sneezed back tears. John noticed that it was anything but no joking matter for Sloan to avoid the supper. No. It is significant. Because I kept making mistakes despite my desire for everything to be perfect for you. Please accept my apologies, Sloan said. Sloan inclined toward Eric's shoulder and she cried in his arms. Sloan then explained to Eric that his mother's lack of sense of humor was not her fault. Sloan began to approach Jude when he began to fuss. Eric halted her. I will deal with Jude. You want to plunk down, Eric said. Sloan shouted at Eric that she wouldn't allow him to patronize her. I'm dealing with you like someone who drank a whole container shortly, Eric countered. Marlena gave Sloan a glass of water. As Sloan grumbled about Marlena's jargon, John proposed to take Jude out for a stroll with Marlena. I'll wager you that we can return him once again to rest, John said. Marlena concurred. Sloan took another sip from her glass of wine as John, Marlena, and Eric loaded Jude into his stroller. After John and Marlena left, Eric helped Sloan into her nightgown, and he guided Sloan to bed. Kindly hit the dance floor with me, Sloan said. Eric declined. Eric stated, it's time for you to go to sleep. Sloan began to move. With a moan, Eric asked Sloan for what good reason she had smashed the whole jug of wine. Since I was anxious about the possibility that your mother wouldn't endorse me. Sloan stated, she'd probably think I wasn't good enough for you. Things being what they are, you got crushed so she could like you? Eric inquired. Sloan agreed. Eric shook his head no, and he added that John and Marlena would comprehend. Sloan ran into the restroom to hurl. Jude's stroller was pushed by John and Marlena through the town square. Jude's sound sleeping, John said. What's somewhat darling? You know, it's abnormal. At the point when he grins, he helps me to remember Eric, Marlena said. John noticed that Eric had not grinned much at supper. I feel awful for him, Doc, John said. Marlene concurred. John asked Marlena for what valid reason Sloan had become so inebriated. With a shrug, Marlena conceded that she didn't know Sloan. I envisioned she was anxious, and she simply needed to dazzle us, Marlena said. John observed with a chuckle that Sloan had certainly not impressed them. Marlena said, when she gets sober, she'll be embarrassed. John inquired as to whether she suspected it was a segregated occurrence or on the other hand on the off chance that Sloan tended to drink too much. I want to think not. For the well-being of Eric. Furthermore, for the good of Jude, Marlena said. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.